Hey guys, Matt over at Easy Auto Spa, and today we're going to start a series that's a little bit unique. If you are a customer of ours, maybe someone who's interested in one of our services, this video might not be for you. You may find it interesting, but it's not really directed for you. This video series, we're going to do a series that is going to be basically the most common questions that I get asked as a shop owner. Every single day, people are reaching out to me asking about how does this ceramic work, or can this dent be fixed? And those are from retail customers, but we also get asked almost equally, how do I hire my first employee? What do I do about marketing? What does it look like to go from being mobile to being in a shop? And in all honesty, I wanted to put together a series to just answer those questions for people in the industry that may be where I was a couple of years ago and are timid to take some steps or just curious about what it would look like to take those steps. So we'll break this down into some kind of bigger categories and we'll go through, and I'm going to answer several questions within that category. These are all questions that I've either been called or emailed directly about, or someone on Facebook or social media messaged me. And hopefully, if you're in the industry, whether you're a detailer or a dent repair technician or someone in the film industry doing window tints or PPF, and you're thinking about taking some steps, you're scared about taking some steps, you maybe feel like you're not alone now after watching these, and maybe it'll give you the confidence to either take the steps or prepare to take the steps at a future date. So let's get right into it. This first video in our shop owners discussion is going to be about, should I have a shop or should I be mobile? This is a huge question, and it's a question that as a technician, there's kind of some smaller questions you need to be asking yourself. A lot of techs want to know, is it better for me to unpack my tools from my truck and rent a shop and then maybe start hiring someone? Or am I better off staying in the back of my truck and lower overhead and being lean and mean? And the reality is that it's going to be specific for you and some of your own individual goals. Do you really, really enjoy the technical part of your trade? If you love fixing metal and fixing dents, doing it mobile is the easiest and best and least expensive way for you to be able to do that as often as possible. Do you love fixing? Maybe you want to get into fixing some bigger, larger dents that you can't do mobile. Well, then a shop may be a right fit, but it doesn't have to be a retail facing. Maybe you just rent a bay or rent something from someone locally, or have it only by appointment only. If your goals are to grow your business and to look a little different than a one-man operation, maybe you've heard the old saying that you've created a job for yourself and you have to do all the jobs of a business owner, but you don't really feel like you own a business, then I think owning a shop is definitely a way to move in that direction. So let's talk a little bit more specifics about some of the benefits, some of the headaches, and some of the drawbacks, maybe even, of opening a shop. What are my thoughts on an appointment-only shop setup? And as I said, I think that can definitely work, specifically in the dent repair world, because that's the world that I came from and come from originally. I think there's guys that can make that a success. Maybe they're mobile 3 days a week and they have a shop that they do appointments at and they go there. You can rent a lot less expensive. You don't really have to pay a lot for the storefront type marketing. You may not even have to have a sign out front. If you do it, it's very minimal. You certainly don't need a staff if you do that. In my personal experience, it was not a good alignment with me. I had a shop that was very similar to that. It was an appointment-only shop at a local drive-through car wash, and they had an alignment bay they weren't using, so I rented it from them and could pull cars in and work on hail cars or fix door dings or whatever it was. And my challenge was, it was less about the business model and more about my own personality, right? My ADHD came out really hard. I would sit there and I'd fix a job and it'd be 10 or 11 in the morning. I'd be done with that job and I would think maybe I'll sit around and wait and maybe talk to some customers or try to make some phone calls. And I'd sit there, and I'd twiddle my thumbs and I'd drive myself crazy. And about 2 or 3 o'clock, I'd pack up all my tools and decide to go knock on the door at a body shop or maybe go to a dealership and try to scrounge up some work for the day. And it almost never failed. It felt like 7 minutes after I drove away, I'd get a call from someone that said, "Hey, I'm at your shop looking at it." And it was really tough for me to feel like I was being very good at building the mobile side of the business and building the retail side. And again, a lot of what I'm talking about is going to be descriptive and not prescriptive. You may be someone who can work in that space a lot easier than I could, but it was really challenging for me. So much so that it kind of disheartened me from even opening and owning a shop for quite a while. Once I closed that one down, I went back to being 100% mobile and said, well, we tried it and that didn't work. And so I would say that you need to ask yourself how you will handle sitting at a shop that, even if it's a small amount that you're paying for and nobody's walking in the door. Because if you're not investing in the retail space, if you're not investing in marketing, or you don't have somebody running the shop, you're not going to have a lot of people walking in the door. And then when you do start having people walking in the door, when it feels like you're having some success, if you're not there, it's really feeling like you're kind of wasting your energy. So you kind of need to determine what's more right for you as an owner, and what kind of lane you feel the most comfortable in. Another question I get asked about a shop, and this can apply to the retail and to the mobile side as well. It doesn't apply as much if you're doing wholesale business, dealerships and things, but it was that question is, how do you schedule for maximum efficiency? And the answer for me has, and always has been, is to lean heavily into the tools that exist, right? We're in a business where the right tools get the job done. The right dent tool allows me to fix that dent that I wouldn't otherwise be able to. The right, film tool allows me to lay the film, or the plotter allows me to cut it, or whatever it is. For us, it was about really kind of realizing the tools that exist and my own shortcomings from using, Post-it notes to try to keep up with my schedule or my appointments or my customers' names. So we invested pretty heavily into a CRM. And the CRMs that exist, there's so many out there, and some of them that are very industry specific and some of them that are kind of bigger and broader. If you don't know what that means, CRM stands for a customer relationship management software. And at its basic core, it's just a place to put all your notes and all your relationship, all of the interactions you've had with a client. Every phone call, every time you've given them an estimate, you just kind of put all those notes in one place, so that if they call 3 months later, you're not, hey, I'm Steve with the Black Honda Accord. Well, I've talked to a lot of Black Honda Accord owners. I've talked to a lot of Steves. My brain's not that great. I can't keep up with it. But having a CRM allows me to go back and say, oh, Steve, you're the one that had the dent on the body line on the back quarter panel, or whatever that is. So investing in the right CRM is a really, really huge part of the equation for scheduling for us, just to help me stay the most organized. It allows me to keep notes about how long things I think will take, so that I can schedule accordingly and schedule appropriately. It also, if you use the CRM correctly, and if you invest in one that has the capabilities, it can integrate seamlessly with your existing or with some future marketing that you may have. So if you're going to do things like, Google ads or social media ads, your CRM can actually give you data to tell you if it's working. A lot of times with marketing, and we'll do a whole nother video about marketing, you feel like you're throwing mud at the wall and seeing if it sticks. The problem is that if you're not collecting data, and if you're not being able to tell, did this ad get clicked on, or is this deal that I'm running actually effective, you don't know if it's working or not. And it can be very discouraging. So the CRM allowed me to integrate my marketing and the current marketing that I was doing when I first started the CRM, and all the marketing I've done thus far. As we've grown and added a lot more layers and a lot more sophistication to our marketing, our CRM allows us to do a lot more of that. It also, now with the size business we are, with the multiple locations and nearly 20 team members and offering multiple services, the CRM allows us to do a lot of ongoing conversations with clients that are automated, right? So a customer reaches out for a quote, and we give them an estimate, and I don't hear from them for a few days. It's really easy if I put their estimate in just an estimating software or on a Post-it note. It's easy for me to forget about that client, because I've gotten 10 other phone calls since then. Well, the CRM, ours literally sets it up to where they send a text to the client and says, hey, Steve, just checking in to see if you had any thoughts on fixing that Accord, right? As simple as that. And it seems very much like it came directly from me. I did create the script for that, but it allows a lot of those to automate in a way and be much more effective and much more efficient than I could ever be on my own. So if you are going to go with a shop, specifically if you are going to go with a shop, a CRM is a must-have. It's a note. You can't open a shop without one, in my opinion. But even if you're retail, I would pretty strongly consider opening and starting the CRM process, mainly because you're able to collect information, data, and contact info for these customers you're currently serving, And it allows that if down the road, maybe 5 years from now, you do want to open a shop, or you do want to hire a team or hire another technician or whatever it is, or it hails in your town, or you add another service, you now have the ability to market to all of those existing clients that you've serviced without having to start from scratch. I can't tell you how many times when I was first starting, I had a software that I'd write my estimates with, and if I was being lazy, I would just write retail customer as the name of the customer, and put a 1-digit phone number. It's probably hundreds of customers in our system had that, and now those are all customers that now that I do have a shop and a system and other services, I don't have the ability to market to because I was lazy 10 years ago, right? So investing in those kind of systems are certainly going to be something that you're not really ever going to regret. And you can start in those investings for not that expensive, right? There's some as simple as things like MailChimp, just to do some data collection and things. We've used things from HubSpot or Salesforce before. Right now, we have a fantastic product that we use. If you want to reach out to Matt Heidinger and just mention that you talked to me, he is awesome. He has a product called Shop Launch, and it's powered by Go High Level, and it's a great product for what we do, and it allows me to run all of the things we run, and all my managers are able to use it, and then me as an owner am able to kind of be an eye in the sky and see what all is going on with that. Another question we get asked a lot are, what are some of the short-term challenges of going from a mobile to being in a shop? And everyone's situation is going to be different. If you're a wholesale technician, or maybe you've chased hail for a long time, or maybe you've only worked for dealerships, right? Going to a retail shop is going to be a huge jump, because 90+% of your revenue stream is going to come from retail clients. And if you aren't currently servicing a significant number of retail clients, it's a big jump. It's not just about a brick and mortar. It's about really kind of a different business model. If you are currently servicing existing retail clients, if you're currently, maybe you're going to people's homes or offices and you've already got some Google ads working or some social media ads working or whatever it is, the jump is going to be a lot shorter, but it's still going to be there. One thing, the overhead, whether we agree to it or not, the mobile automotive industry is one of the lowest overhead for what you can do out there in the industry. And I go to a lot of conferences. I've talked to a lot of business owners in all different fields. And the fact that you can run a really, really good business out of the back of your truck with a few $1,000s in tools and not very much marketing, $500 a month of marketing, whatever it is you're spending, is pretty impressive, right? And that's not really what the real world looks like in most cases. The biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of business owners is that they go from having zero overhead to a ton of overhead, and they think that overnight they're going to have a ton more revenue, and that's just not going to be the case. You're probably going to have a while without maybe a hailstorm or without something just kind of infusing some capital in the business. It'll be a while where you may not be in the black, right? You may be losing money over what you were making, especially if you continue to pay yourself as a business owner what you probably were paying yourself prior to opening a shop. Goes on to another point. If you are going down this road, you need to start thinking like a business owner. It means hiring the best accountant you can afford and having them guide you on what you should be paying yourself, right? When you work out of the back of your truck and you're kind of an independent entrepreneur, it's really easy for every dollar that goes in to kind of go straight from the business checking account to your checking account, and all of them kind of blend together. That's not really a realistic way to run a business. And you're not going to be able to do that if you are starting a retail shop. Even if you're just a one-man retail shop, right? You have to create a business that's profitable. And that means that after paying, you can look up what EBITDA means, but after paying all of your overhead, all of your materials, all of your marketing, all of your labor, even if it's a one-man labor, the business still has to show a profit, and it won't survive if it doesn't. And so you have to start thinking in those terms, and you have to kind of force yourself to think like a business owner. And that's not easy for all of us. I didn't get a business degree. I didn't grow up as a business. I didn't live and work in a business world where I was influenced by all this. I just had to learn from mistakes in a lot of ways. One resource that I did find very helpful for me personally was the Small Business Administration has very, very good, free in most cases, resources for business owners. And I live in Athens, Georgia, University of Georgia, go Dogs. and they have a program called the Small Business Development Center. And they literally have all throughout the year programs that are almost like little mini MBAs for you as a business owner to teach you how to be a better business owner. And they have free coaching, one-on-one coaching, where you can meet with a business professional who gets to know your business, gets to know your needs, gets to know your goals, your challenges, and can push you to be a better business owner and help you as you're taking those steps. So those are resources that I would absolutely look into. And at a minimum, if those aren't readily available to you, there are online resources that you can find as well. And finally, in the kind of wholesale versus retail, or the mobile versus shop, a lot of people want to know which has more potential. If I'm mobile or if I'm leaning more heavily into wholesale, is that better? Does it have more really financial potential than a retail? And it's a complicated question because every business is going to look a little different and everybody's skill sets are going to be a little different. But I would say that overall, being mobile and maybe even doing more wholesale is going to be a lot more stable. It just is, right? You can kind of predict your revenue streams. You can predict because you've got data from all the different months you've worked at this Mercedes dealership or that body shop or whatever. And even doing mobile retail, it's significantly more predictable than fixed site retail for whatever reason. You know, when I spend money with Google on marketing and I'm working for myself, I know about how many calls I'm going to get, and I know about what my closing percentages are going to be. When you go into a fixed shop, you're having to ask people to drive to you. Then you're also introducing that they might call 4 other people. If they're sitting at home calling and you're not coming to them, they may call 4 other people for quotes, and now you're having to kind of compete with those kind of things, and it just changes up the algorithm a little bit. And it may be that you do all the same scripting, all the same marketing, all the same conversations and CRM, and 1 month you have a 20% dip, and the next month you have a 25% increase. And those are things that aren't always predictable. So I'd say that with the shop, there is a lot less predictability, but I do think that long term, there's more upside to the shop. I think there's probably more downside to the shop as well. You can lose a whole lot more money having a fixed shop, and especially if you start investing in employees and team members, because that payroll comes every 2 weeks, whether you like it or not, right? And you're locking yourself into some things that are some really long-term investments. And for me personally, I had to start thinking of my business as an investment. When I was mobile, I thought of it as a job. Whether I would admit it or not, I just kind of thought of it as a job. I treated it like a job. It was a very free job that I was at a lot of freedom. Now I treat it like a business, right? And right now I'm the only shareholder of the business, but my job is to make it a profitable business for its shareholders and make the business profitable. Because again, if it's not profitable, if it doesn't make money, and I'm not doing things to constantly hone our skills and hone our ability to get better, then 2 years from now, we're not going to be here. And 5 years from now, we're certainly not going to be here. And with a shop as an owner, my job is not just to survive. It's to grow and thrive and make it where my team members that sign up to be a part of what we're doing are better 5 years from now than they are today. Well, if I'm not creating that future job for them, nobody is. So your mindset has to change as a business owner. But I do think that I think that there's more upside to the shop, more stability with the non-shop. But for me personally, I had to kind of determine what my goals are, who I was, and what was going to make me happy. And I was much more drawn to the team building part of it, to the process building. Here we talk about processes all the time, process building part of it, and to just creating a model that others wanted to be a part of. And that's been a lot of fun to be a part of. So I hope this is helpful for the mobile versus shop. Stay tuned for the next video we're going to do in this series. It's actually going to be about hiring, about bringing on team members, and about some of the questions you may have if you do bring on team members and start growing your business.